I'm gonna go live. I'm already live. I'm like, let me let her know just so she know. I ain't gonna waste no time. Break it down. I need a napkin. Oh, man. Yo, what's good? What's good? My keys, man. Shout out to you, bruh. Good look at that venue. What up, Soul? What up, Airwave? Yes, sir. It's super quick. You know what it is? They like, what? New Dave B. I gotta get on there. Y'all can hear me, right? My when I do videos, for some reason, my audio pick up weird. But I think when I go live, it's like a different speaker because Apple be tripping or something. They got something going on. But let me know if y'all can hear me straight or if I need to put the microphone. Cool. Yeah, so y'all here, we gonna jump right in. I just really wanted to make a new moon video because I haven't made one yet. Energetic overview. So I'm gonna go ahead and post this on on YouTube afterwards. But for the most part, you know, first of all, happy New Year. You know what I'm saying, to all y'all. What up, P? PJ? We breaking down some astrology tonight. But yeah. So like happy New Year to y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's the vibe. And like you could tell it's a major difference than how it was at the end of December. At the end of December, it's not time to be trying to start nothing new. It's really trying to wrap up everything that you already had going on and figuring out, you know, Capricorn, trying to etch out a new blueprint, right? Looking at where you were restricted and also learning how to have tough skin about certain stuff that you wasn't getting right when you knew it was that time. Me, I'm a Leo moon, you know what I'm saying? So same fire, but Leo. Yeah, but I fucks with Aries moons. My brother's an Aries moon. Like we it's a lot of creative sparks that come from that because that junk lies in my fifth house. What's good? Hope you're chilling. Yeah, man, big chilling, man. I hope you good too, man. I know we was texting back and forth. I'm gonna hit you back again. Trying to practice. Look, I'm doing better though. You know what I'm saying? Doing better though. But yeah. So for the most part, you know, New Year type shit. What up, D Program? So like I was saying, you know, it's not the time for old shit to be going. Like it's not, you know, around December. It's not this type of vibe. Like right now, it's a new jump off point. So this is a new sense of self that we have, and with the new moon taking place in Aries. It's a new sense of self, a new self-awareness that we are starting to walk into. And so right now it's all about pop out to NY. I got family in New York, man. Speaking of that, that's going to happen for sure. But, you know, so there's this new sense of self that we tapping into. And, you know, for the most part, so this new self-awareness that we developing, we're in an interesting situation because the moon is actually trining Lilith, right? So we don't talk about Lilith a lot, but really we should pay attention to what's going on with Lilith Lilith aspects, because on a basically on a how it's affecting you, right? With the moon and Aries trining that Lilith, it's almost like we have the gift to really confront a lot of the things that we've held as deep fears. So certain things that we've been scared to do, you know, at this point, like it all lies behind the theme of 2023, which is that 7 energy, where it's like, it's a jump off point. At this point in time, if you are not just committing to doing what you do, being yourself to the utmost degree and going through all those nervous moments and those you know, those things that kind of like, you know, you should be doing, but you aren't doing. Like right now is that time where facing those fears can actually benefit you the most. So, you know, if you ever needed more of an incentive to just go out and say, fuck it, let me just do it. Now's the time, because with this energy, it's like you could really use this new moon to confront a lot of your fears early on. And then I like to look at astrology too as progression. When we do come around to Leo season, by that time Lilith might be in a different sign, but the energy work that we put in now is going to reverberate, because for the most part, the energy work that we put in now is always going to reflect in the results that we yield for ourselves later. So it's a situation where it's like, you could look at it like now, like set a timer for yourself and say, okay, because we in March. So by the time we get to August, how like March, April, May, June, July, August, like 5 months, really like 4 months, because we at the end of March. So look at 4 months to 6 months as a mission for yourself to transform, to ease into your new character, because understanding the Leo energy already, we know that Leo is it is the character. It is when things are center stage, when we need to really be popping out and doing what we do on that high velocity level. That's the middle of which sign is associated with Lilith. Lilith is more like I don't believe there's a particular sign associated with Lilith, but Lilith's energy is really like the dark side of the moon. So if you really think about it, how the moon is associated with Cancer, Lilith is almost like, I don't want to say it's the dark side of Cancer, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of that, it's that feminine energy, but it's like story wise, you could look at like how they put in the Bible, like how Eve was the representation of kind of that feminine energy. And then the counterpart of Eve is like the woman that didn't get the life that Eve got. So Eve might have got the wife treatment, but Lilith was maybe cheated on early, and instead of like sitting around crying, she took her power back and started to manipulate with her energy and started to dive into some of that dark feminine energy. So I wouldn't necessarily say Lilith is associated with Cancer, but you could look at Lilith as just the dark aspects of the moon, kind of like that feminine energy, but just on a dark level. What up, Imani? So for the most part, so getting back to, so the connection with Lilith, that trine right there. So there's a gift right now for us to look at ourselves and say, okay, the new me that I'm stepping into, this new energy, this new self-awareness that I'm trying to present and push out, because now we're in the birth right now. So look at it like birth. And when you even think of birth, you know what I'm saying? Like birth is painful in and of itself. So it's a process right now where you kind of have to you have to address that pain and really put it aside. We have all the right energies to do that. The moon is also conjuncting Jupiter in Aries. So there's an expansion of self-awareness that we have right now. So that's why it's so potent right now. It's almost like you can't escape this. You good? Oh, snap. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can't escape the awareness right now. You can't escape the truth right now. Even if you're trying to fight yourself and be like, nah, I'm going to just try again next year. You should look at it like there is no next year. It should be like right now, here, today. You know what I'm saying? Because anything else is really just an excuse. And this year in and of itself is going to show you. It's going to show you what's going on. What rap is that? See, until they pay me, I can't say which one it is. Until they sponsor me, I can't say which one it is. For now, just to pretend it's Dave Raps. What house you got Aries in there? I got Aries in the 5th house. So for me, it's a new moon with creativity, with center stageness. It's really a new character on my side of shit. You feel me, bro? Like, yeah. No free promo, no more, bro. The price done went up. So, but for the most part, yeah. I'll be on the splits. Yeah. Ain't no splits this time, but we gonna make it do what it do. I feel you though. Sometimes split is cool. It's a cool little mellow vibe. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying about what's going on. So the moon next to Aries, giving us new inspiration. We want to go far and wide with our dreams and our imaginations, because the new moon shared a lot of that Pisces aspect. And a lot of what I was saying with Pisces is that was when we had a period of time to kind of program ourselves and set ourselves for, you got to try. I have tried those. Those are pretty straight though. I ain't gonna lie. I have tried those. Those are straight. And there's some cool energy behind it. You know what I'm saying? Got the B on it. So you already know. But, so right now, there was energies with Pisces. So Pisces is kind of like that programming of your subconscious that getting the dream in order, dealing with, like I like to say, when we're going through water transits, that's always times where we're addressing our insecurities on some level. So I like to look at water transits as those times where we're really supposed to go deep within ourselves and take moments to ourselves to reflect on what's bugging us, because during water transits, it usually there's going to be something that comes up that might not even be a big thing, but it's going to emotionally affect you. And due to what is triggering you, you can always find pieces on parts of you that still need to be healed. So whenever we're going through water transits, especially going through a transit like going through Pisces season, that's always about reprogramming a lot of things that's going on subconsciously. So the good seeds that you could have been planting during Pisces season would be you taking the time to really observe the type of feelings that are passing through you. And as you're observing these different feelings, starting to piece out, okay, what about this situation is triggering me in this way, making me want to react and respond in this way? And before you gave into a lot of those reactions, hopefully you took enough time to really look at yourself, see yourself, and understand where you still have self-doubt, where you still don't have the right amount of faith, and where you still don't necessarily believe in your abilities to succeed in certain areas. Because now in Aries, it's like we have to really got to understand the way the Aries energy moves. It's all about the spark. It's not about taking too much time to sit and ponder on too much. We should have did all our pondering and all our collection of thoughts and feelings during Pisces season. But right now we need to get up and go. And right now also we have Mercury in Aries. So our mentality might be a little spicy right now, where we have a lot more. It's like, if on the positive end, you could have a lot more courage to say what needs to be said. And we need to apply a little bit of that good old Aries fuck it energy, and really start to put ourselves out there and speak what's on your mind. Of course, do that with discernment, because you have to first be the judge on whether the things on your mind are the right things. And if you come to that conclusion and you decided, hey, this is who I am, this is who I'm stepping into, and you're happy with that, then by all means, that needs to be your first and your priority at this point in time. And like I said, that trine with Lilith and Leo, it's gonna like right now, you might not see the importance of really fighting and attacking that piece of fear within you, but did that today at work. Yeah, good shit. Yeah, for real. Especially out in the world and doing what you normally doing, because especially now, because we still fresh into the new moon energy. And so new moon, new year, on top of that, it's like the sun is refreshed. Remember that the sun is exalted in Aries. So right now it's almost like, you don't want to burn yourself out, but this is the energy to go hard and like kind of like allow yourself to almost like, how they say shoot for the stars, land on the moon type shit, where you want to have your imagination and your eyes on the prize, and shit, fuck the prize. You want it even further than the prize, as far as you can see, and you want to just go for it. You don't want to spend too much time contemplating, because that's not the energy we in right now. We're going to have more than enough time to contemplate when we get into Taurus season to make sense out of what's going on. But for right now, things ain't supposed to make the most sense. Things really need to be based off of what's inspiring you at the moment. And see, that's why Aries is even... when we talk about Aries energy, a lot of times we're talking about intentions, being intentional, the I am energy. The reason all of it is packed together is because when you think about your intentions and shit like that, that does start to make up your identity. It starts to make up not only how you see yourself, but the way in which you, like, I like to look at, when we look at the sun, moon, and ascendant, right? The moon is who we are. It's our heart. It's our core. It's what makes us comfortable and what we actually, need in order to be good with what's going on. The sun is our actions and the way we see ourselves and how we want to portray our energy, how we get into our bag, how we go how we go after the things that we know is going to make our moon comfortable. Now, the ascendant, though, is the perspective that we took on how to go about that. So it's like, it's the space you was in with that energy. That's why, like, the house determines how your life is kind of positioned. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, because that's really even when you understanding your sign and stuff like that, understanding like, okay, if you a sun, whatever sun sign you are, understanding what's the second house is like, for instance, what's one of y'all signs? We're going to use y'all as an example. One of y'all sun signs, right? Y'all can just drop them in the comments real quick. I see you say you're Aries moon. Shout out to you. Fuck your Aries moons. My ninth house is Aries. It's empty. Let's say you a all right, yeah, right. Okay, cool. I got some. All right. So Leo, right? The second house to Leo, right? So look at your sun sign as if it was in the first house. The second sign to you is that Virgo energy. So on some level with that Leo energy, the archetype of that Leo energy, you could follow the houses that way and understand your sun sign's journey in a different perspective. For instance, you know, as a Leo, certain things that you value do come down to organization, or there might even be, like, again, your inner critic. Like when before you go out and present yourself in public, it's like part of you is always going to hit that second house of valuing how you put yourself together. You know, does this match? And maybe you're not even the type of person who cares about certain details about how you look or things of that nature. But it's like when it comes to how you express yourself, you should understand that on some level you do need to value how you put things together, or value the kind of criticism, like you being your own worst critic or your most critic. It's like these are the type of things that your sun goes through on an individual level. Like, see, like the program, you said Taurus. As a Taurus, if you had Taurus in the first house, you could understand that the 12th house of Taurus is Aries. So subconsciously, you know that, like, for instance, Taurus could be labeled as selfish or something like that, like not caring or too dry when it comes to other people's situations and what they got going on. But a lot of times what people don't understand is with a subconscious, a 12th house from Taurus is Aries, meaning that a lot of things on their subconscious, their dreams need to be geared toward their own stuff. This is why Taurus even come off the way they do, where it's like you have to kind of invest into a Taurus for them to give a fuck about you. You have to kind of give them a little bit more for them to see you and recognize you, because when they go into their 12th house space, it's a very individual space. When they piece together their subconscious, their meanings and reasonings and what they believe, that's a very individual space for a Taurus. Leo over here is a Libra. So with Libra, you can look at if Libra was in your first house, right? If Libra is in your first house as a Libra sun, right? You understand that your part of your sun's archetype is, if Libra is in your first house, your 7th house would be Aries, your 6th house would be Pisces. So you know that as far as a Libra sun goes, when they go about work and when they go about routines and schedules, sometimes they have to kind of do things in an abstract like way. They have to leave a schedule that's open enough for them to have freedom and have time to recuperate. And this is why you can even look at it like Libra suns, the sun falling in Libra, them not always having enough energy to do all the things that they need to get done on their schedule. So a lot of times they can't just go about their schedule like another sign. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a little something like as far as understanding how your sun's journey is, your sun's archetype, basically. But I know that can be confusing, especially if you new to astrology, because you still got your own chart to consider. So you do got a 12th house, you do got a second house according to your ascendant, but your sun has a certain archetype that it follows. So if you're just trying to understand how your sun operate, you can always throw it in that first house to understand the archetype of that sign. Through the eyes of astrology, like, kind of hard to explain. Yeah. Yeah. They'll talk about, like, you'll see a lot of, and that's the thing too, you see a lot of like cookie cutter astrologers on Twitter and shit like that. What up, Sammy? And what up, Draco's Horizon? You see a lot of people on Twitter and stuff like that talking about astrology. They don't even really know what they be doing. They'll just put like they'll give a reading or a horoscope, and they'll talk about, you know, they'll talk about like, if you a Cancer sun or sun in the 4th house, and like you can look at it like that if you want, but it ends up confusing a lot of people early on in their journey, because they'll be wondering, as like, all right, is it my energy, or is, you know, because if you don't got your sun in the 4th house, on some level that don't apply to you all the way. But the proper way to do it is to understand just your sun signs archetype, throw that in the 1st house, but still acknowledge the fact that you got, you know, whatever your ascendant says is your actual house lineup, and that's your actual archetype. But yeah, he said facts, putting your Saturn in 1st house, you see hella, you know, that's like that alchemy that you can do too with your energies, and just putting, you know, but that's some other stuff. I don't want to get too far on a tangent and stuff, because I already feel like that could have threw some people through a loop, you know what I'm saying? But so for the most part, getting back to what's going on in the sky. So or to finish my point, to say that the ascendant, when it does come to the ascendant, I like to look at it as the perspective you chose. So it's like how the sun was rising, what point the sun was at. So if you think about it, you coming through that particular time, you had a certain angle you was hitting the planet on. You had a certain angle you was coming from, and that angle is like where your ascendant lies. And so that defines your archetype in a sense. So, you know, but getting back to the sky. So we got Venus that slid into Taurus. So like I was saying, right now, when it comes to our sun, the way we're going about our actions, what we're paying attention to, what we need to have our focus on, the things that is on our mind at the current time, when it comes to also how we're deriving, how we're going to get the most wisdom and knowledge out of what we're going through, the nature of our experiences in general, and also acknowledging certain mistakes that we made. All these different things, these are in Aries. But what we need to be focused on, like appreciating, as far as what we need to appreciate now is kind of looking at things, kind of looking at our life and seeing what we do value out of that. See, Venus is home right here in Taurus. So it's like we actually have a superpower right now to look at what we're going after, right? So all that energy in Aries is like what we got our sights set on. And a lot of the sights need to be set on ourselves. The new us, the new you that you stepping into, right? Okay, so you see this new you. You seeing yourself. There's parts of yourself that you might not even be as proud of or happy about. But here's the thing. Right now is the time to change your life. Right now is the time to start initiating and putting these new flavors or putting these new parts of yourself that you've been piecing together throughout Pisces, right? Because during Pisces was that subconscious awareness. So that's where our focus is on, all the things beneath the surface. Now, if you did the shadow work, you already came to grips with certain parts of yourself that you know you're not ever reverting back to. So there's already a new path in mind. So when you lean into that, right? And a lot of what I was saying too about Pisces season was about being vulnerable with yourself. You know what I'm saying? Not even so much needing to be vulnerable around other people or give other people the, you know, because sometimes that's even why people consider like Pisces energy. Sometimes they might misjudge it as weak or something like that, just because of how they go about their vulnerability and how they go about their life. Lit tonight. Right? But how they go about their vulnerability, you know. But there's certain power in being vulnerable, because when you are comfortable with yourself enough and you understand your own shortcomings, but you got the right mentality about it to where you understand where you went wrong, or you understand where your real heart lies. Because sometimes we'll say you make mistakes in the world, right? I need a little. Say you making mistakes in the world or just in life in general and stuff like that. Like, sometimes we be harder on ourselves mentally, right? What's up? We be harder on ourselves mentally. And you might start, again, this is where a lot of our subconscious, like how I, like the 12th house being the house of undoing. This is how we undo ourselves, is we lean and attach too much to what we think is expected of us, how we think other people feel about us, and we start to doubt ourselves because of what we're picking up. And a lot of times those energies and vibes that we picking up, that we're being judged, aren't even true. It's just how we're seeing ourselves. And we on some level, you allow that feeling to go a little too far. You allow that feeling to get the best of you. All of a sudden now you're in a space where this is where la la land occurs, because you're in a place that nobody else can see. You're going through something that nobody else can really even understand. But if you create too many thoughts and feelings in that area, you're going to want to, this is where, like, even with the Pisces energy, you're going to start to need sympathy in that area. That's where the whole victim mentality comes from, because you're putting yourself through this turmoil, and you don't realize that you're supposed to be saving yourself. You don't realize you're supposed to be getting yourself out of whatever hole. You got to take control of your own mentality. So you throw yourself in your own loop, and this becomes your undoing, because what starts to accumulate is all that energy of self-doubt, all that energy of looking at yourself and not quite understanding yourself. The whole time, the problem was you was just allowing your spirit to kind of, again, you wasn't creating an anchor for yourself. So you allowed yourself to get swayed this way, swayed that way. And that's where that Pisces energy or that 12th house energy can throw you through a loop. But when you start to get a grip on things, when you start to decide for yourself who you are and where you're going, see, you can start to reverse a lot of these things and save yourself from the undoing. You can start to take accountability, and this is where, again, Pisces shifts into Aries, and it starts to take authority over itself. It starts to say, hey, no, this is how I want to see myself. And matter of fact, I'm gonna go extreme with it. So hope, it's two sides to it. If you were planting bad seeds, now's the time to add some fire to evaporate a lot of that water, right? Create that mobility again to, okay, let me springboard myself into a whole new space. Or if you have been planting the right seeds, this is you've already set up your subconscious. You already set up your emotional state to handle, okay, now it's time to actually go for these new things, right? Now, how that correlates with the Taurus energy, Venus being in Taurus, is you can double down on valuing the pieces of yourself that are new. So a lot of these new ways that we're seeing ourselves, right? And remember that Aries is a cardinal energy. So it's all about the spark. It's all about switching it up. So in that switch up, committing to that new self-realization, right? Taking that energy and expanding on it. There's going to be many mistakes that you see, but through these mistakes, right, use that trine with Lilith to face those fears and come to grips with, hey, I may have fell short in this area. I may not be the best in this particular area in the eyes of others, but fuck it. I know who I am, and I'm going to double down on what I know is right, what I know is right for me. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no real right or wrong, but you start to get familiar with what's right for you. And that's the only thing that really starts to matter at a certain point. What's right for me? And at that point, you can do the selfish energy how it's supposed to be done, instead of being selfish in ways in which, you are, negligent to other people's feelings, burning bridges and things of that nature. You become destructive when you play too deep into the selfish energy. But you to do the selfish energy right, you actually have to have the right intentions, and those intentions need to be pure. They need to be backed and supported by you doing what's right for you. When you got negative intent, when you got fucked up intentions, when you are trying to, it's almost like an energy of trying to, you aren't willing to compromise. You're not willing to be collaborative or harmonious with other individuals for the sake of, again, you either running from something, you fear something, or again, it's like selfishness, but more so you hiding yourself from the world. It's more of a selfishness that's not backed and supported by you doing what's right for you. It's just you wanting to take the easy route, or you not wanting to apply yourself to what's going on around you. And sometimes that can come back to bite you, because when you need support, that's when you're going to be the loneliest. When you need help, that's when you're not going to have any Libra energy. That in Libra energy is very powerful. You know how they even say it's like it's about who you know at a certain point, not what you know. You know what I'm saying? It's about who you know, And we all on some level need to feel like we're capable of doing things on our own. But at the same time, we in this world with other people. Teamwork makes the dream work. You can't stay in your own bubble forever, and you can't be stingy with your energy. That's the word I was really looking for. You become, it's like a stinginess, and you become a person who's, it's almost like you cheap energetically. You know what I'm saying? So you set up situations where only you getting the benefit, and you're not willing to put in any work for anybody else or contribute any ideas to the pot. You start to become exiled, and this is the lone wolf energy, but it don't look cool. It's not like a leadership lone wolf. It's a lone wolf like, nah, we just leave that dude alone because he not part of the pack. And you don't want to be there at certain times. Like certain times you might, even during this energy, you might think it's cool. It might even be working for you, but there's going to come a time where we're going to be in a different energy, and based upon what you was putting in place and you set in stone, you're going to be in a certain space. And that might not, especially if it's not your actual energy, you just riding off the high of this energy. Say you a trine sign to this, like you a Leo or you a Sag, and you abusing that trine, you abusing your gifts. Right now, you think, oh, well, I can get away with being a little more selfish, but it's not backed and supported by nothing real. You're not using that energy how you're supposed to. This way you put yourself in an uncompromising situation, or a situation that's not really, as beneficial for you as if you were, being real with yourself and having the right intentions behind it. But getting back to Venus being in Taurus, valuing those parts of ourselves, like I said, going through that fight with that trine with Lilith, right? All that energy in Aries, that trine with Lilith, facing those fears. Now you can start to take things that you can value. And also when it does come to your relationships, not just like with other people, but relationship with yourself. This is like really a good self-esteem building time, like very fresh energy. You know what I'm saying? Very fresh energy. We got Aries and Taurus. Like this is all spring type energy that we have access to at the moment. So a lot of that, how you use that Venus and Taurus energy is really by building your self-esteem. Start to solidify the parts of this new you that you know you want to stick around. And you can use also Venus. Now, Pluto is like 29 degrees Capricorn. So it's not like it's the most potent trine, but the energy in general is still there for you to kind of utilize. So understanding that, so on one level, Pluto is in the space of our status. That status is starting to shift into something that's more about the organization or community you're a part of. So a lot of what we transformed about ourselves when Pluto was going through Capricorn at this point in time, right? When Pluto was in Capricorn, a lot of those transformations are going to start to reflect, not yet, but as Pluto gets further into Aquarius, then we're going to start to see how our status either set us up for success when it comes to our community and what we're able to do within that community, or whether or not we are a leader or respected in that community, or it's going to show where we, what's the other part I was going to say? Oh, yeah. You going to put Sprite in it too? Sprite. For the fizz?
You sure they already fizzy?
Is it? I think I got a little splash of Sprite.
Taste that. It's fizzy.
No.
It's not?
Ain't no soda in it. Need the soda
That's
for
not the right thing.
This cool though. This cool though.
Charmaine's supposed to be already frizzy, ain't it?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. This the type of, that's champagne.
Oh.
With the fizz.
Oh, it is.
It's champagne with the fizz.
So mimosa is a champagne.
Champagne, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But I mean, with the Sprite, it's about the same thing. It's like ghetto champagne. But for sure. Man. But yeah. So when it comes to, this Taurus energy, that's kind of what we do have access to. So yeah, we're gonna see where our transformations either they've been working for us and we set ourselves up for success in our communities, but Pluto's still gonna transform things entirely. So look at this as the seeds that are gonna sprout into the type of transformation that actually does take place. Because again, you committing to the work early is going to benefit you a lot more than if you take this time for granted And a lot of times you're probably taking the time for granted simply because you're scared. Yeah, that's closer to it. That's yeah. But yeah, so you know what I'm saying, using this Taurus energy to again hone in on certain things that you know you need to be valuing, or parts of yourself that you can say, okay, let me start to build self-esteem off of this. And it's going to take you taking those risks. But the good thing is the sun being next to Jupiter and the sun being exalted on one end, again, very likely that you will that you could potentially exhaust yourself, right? So be aware of that. Be aware of, you know, where your place needs to be. And again, honoring your energy to know, because it's good to exhaust yourself on your dreams. It's good to exhaust yourself on things that you got going on, your intentions. But it's not so good to exhaust yourself because you feel like other people depend on you, or you feel like you need to do X, Y, and Z in order to be accepted in certain areas, or you feel like you got a desire in order to get that. You got to jump through this loop and jump through that loop. It's like you need to honor your energy, know what you're putting all this energy into, know what you're putting all this focus into, and hone in on that and stay locked in on that. Not allow it to sway you this way, sway you that way. But yeah, so coming off of that, right? So that's what so the Venus energy, like I was saying, Pluto is at 29 degrees, so it's not the most potent trine, but at the same time, again, it's still affected. So there's a gift there, a slight gift for you to actually transform your values, and that's what you need to be transforming them into. Understanding where your values are and saying, okay, how can I transform this to support this new me, this new self-awareness, this new power that I'm coming into? How can I transform my values to solidify this thing and water this seed, plant this seed so that it can grow into something prosperous? So that's what's going on with that Taurus energy. Now, Mars is on its tail end of Gemini. So with the sun right there, it's a slight sextile right now, where there's an opportunity for us to also get straight with what it is that we're passionate about. But Mars is on its way to Cancer, so our passions are going to start to become a lot more personal. Our passions and what makes us angry, we might get caught up, get angry at the wrong thing. So we need to be mindful of where our passions are now and make the most sense we can out of them. Take the opportunity that's currently present with Mars sextiling the sun. And it's already been sextiling like Chiron. It's already been sextiling Jupiter. So we've already been you should have been already taking the opportunity to expand on what it is that you are passionate about. You should have already been taking the opportunity to address certain mistakes you made with your passions, whether you had certain anger issues, you were allowing frustrations to get the best of you, or certain ways in which you were applying your passion or your aggression, understanding where, okay, yeah, I shouldn't have been applying aggression to this situation. I should have been a little more compassionate or a little more understanding. I should have tapped into a different chakra at this time, or I should have seen things from a different perspective before I just jumped into the Mars space. You know, understanding where those discrepancies took place and learning more about your passion, the things that you were passionate about, taking the opportunity to learn about them. What happened? The big side fell?
Yeah.
I always feared that shit would happen.
Oh no. Oh.
You can scoop it out probably. Damn. But anyway. But yeah, so understanding that sextile too, an opportunity that's the sextile between Mars and Jupiter and Mars and Chiron right there. But for the most part, with the Mars and the Sun, again, seeing our passions a little more clear before it goes into Cancer. So Mars and Cancer, that's going to be a whole different energy that we're going to have to get with, where we start to become a lot more comfortable with our passion, what we're passionate about, but also starting to understand the ways in which we can use our anger and frustration in a more constructive way, or I don't say more constructive way, but it's going to be a lot more personal. So you need to be a lot more aware of where you're reacting in an aggressive way based upon you, again, soft spot. you insecure about something, especially when it comes to the things that you're working on, that you're passionate about. Where are you sensitive at? And how to be strong without being reactionary. Like sometimes you might confuse, like, and this is like the Mars and Cancer energy in a nutshell, because the Mars and Cancer energy sometimes will feel like it has to overdo Mars due to it feeling like it doesn't have a lot. So it's kind of like understanding it's almost like the energy literally of a crab without a shell, where the crab almost feels like it has to be overly aggressive in order to get the point across that it ain't no bitch. But at the whole time, it's like it didn't even need to go about it that way. There might have been a better way to go about it, or it could just commit to being what it is. You know what I'm saying? You might not be all that bark. You know what I'm saying? It's like you barking. So it's like you barking not because you really bad, but because you scared, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't want to be tried in a certain way. So you feel like I got to puff up my chest and I got to overdo this energy just because I feel like I lack it. You know, it's just like that reverse psychology that we do on ourselves. We overcompensate. You know, that's what's really happening with Mars and Cancer. Overcompensation. So they come off overly aggressive or overly sexual because it's like, I don't want to be seen like I lack this because I feel like I lack this. You know what I'm saying? So don't get caught up in that energy, and make sure that you are looking at things and being like, okay, this is what I am. This is what I got. Start to create comfort around that, and start to, even if it is, especially if it's uncomfortable. And when it comes to our passions, a lot of times right now, they might be very uncomfortable because it's springtime. You gotta understand spring, even though the weather is nice and it's time to get outside, it still takes a certain level of courage to actually put forth the energy to do what you said you was going to do all winter. You know, it actually takes a certain level of gut, like it takes a certain willpower to get into the energy to say, hey, okay, it's springtime, the sun is out, I'm going to pop out for real. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all talk. Everybody all winter talk about what they going to do in the summer. Oh man, it's too cold. As soon as the weather do this, I'm going to jump out and do this. So as soon as this time, it's more like this outside, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And we see it year after year, the time come around, and then all of a sudden here come all these imaginary excuses. And even if real things in the world did come up, it should be your duty to fight through that shit and still do what you said you was going to do. And it's an ongoing thing. It's an uphill battle. So it's not about even being discouraged or disappointed in yourself when you don't, but it's about acknowledging and being real where you're falling short and being like, hey, it's on me now. So me not seeing success, I ain't got nobody to be upset with, angry, or frustrated at except for myself. And that's a, you know, I don't, you should do better for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You should do better for yourself because, you know, that's a tough position to put your own spirit in. You put your spirit in hell because now it's stuck in a loop. It can't do nothing new. It can't progress with life because it's still going through the fight between, do I really want to do this or am I too scared right now? Do I really want to do this or am I too scared right now? You know, and everybody got to go at their own pace. But at some point, you got to decide what your life is actually going to be, because the worst thing that could happen is you wake up 5, 10, 15 years down the line, there's no longer a cloud you can tap into to experience that no more. So now your life becomes a journey of either dealing with the fact that you got to wait till next lifetime, or it becomes a situation where you start to attack others in their dreams. Anything that reminds you of the shit that you let go of the shit that you didn't do, anything that reminds you of what dream you had at one time in life, you're going to seek out to destroy that piece of light in every person you see, because you got to understand, your ideas ain't even yours. Sometimes we value an idea too much to the point that it has no choice but to crumble right within our hands. It's like you can't just, these ideas aren't yours in the first place, so you can't claim ownership over an idea. You have to just express it and make it yours. And at that point, you made history. Once you take an idea and you express it your way, then it becomes something that you can look at it like, oh yeah, I've been there, did that. And even at that, you don't own it. You created something from it and you release it. And so it's supposed to be a let go. But that whole process is so that you can expand to something new and keep on going further. what people get fucked up is they get one good idea and they say, oh, this is my idea. And they hone in on it and they exhaust it and it crumbles right within their hands. And a lot of times people fuck around and they create an identity behind whatever it is idea that they had. And when that idea expires, which it has to do, because it's either going to expire on you or you're going to release it. And you can look at that as food. For instance, you buy some produce from Whole Foods, right? You either going to eat it and release it through your bowels, or you're going to watch it expire on the shelf. So it's like you can't hold on to nothing. You got to take it in, do what you do with it, and release it, or it's going to crumble right within your hands. And the worst thing you could do is start to identify with that thing, because as that thing dies, you die. And this is how a lot of people's dreams shatter as well. They take one good idea that they had and they put everything of themselves into it. And when that idea needs to switch, grow, be released, transform, they get stuck. They get scared. They don't want to let it go. They don't know how to switch it up. They don't know how to do something different. All of a sudden, boom, your career, whatever it is that you were using that idea for, is going to crumble along with it. You can't, you know what I'm saying? This is why the people who stand the test of time are those who stay free and stay active and evolve. Not, you know what I'm saying? You don't gotta, like, cause I don't want to get too deep into that, but I mean, real talk, like when we look at artists and things of that nature in their career, it's like the artists that don't figure out a new way to do what it is that they was doing and actually expand themselves and try new ideas out. Those are the first artists to go. Those are the first artists that we never hear from again. But those that always find a way to reinvent themselves, it's because they never limit themselves to one idea or one way of thinking. They kept it fresh. They said, hey, it's all creativity. I like to look at Pharrell as an example. You know, you can transcend different eras. And even though he's not as active as he was, or even you see, there's a lot of artists. I ain't finna be shouting out everybody, but my point is, you see the artists that's still around. These are the people who took different ideas and found ways to reinvent themselves, and also found ways to collaborate and get involved in fresh energy. What up, J Juice? What up, Who Eli? What's up, y'all? Breaking down some astrology for show. So yeah, that's what it comes down. That's really what it comes down to. Staying fresh and staying new. And again, we're in Aries season, so it's all about the freshness. It's all about tapping into something new and owning into that shit. And a lot, like I said, that's the tone of 2023. So you see how 2023 may have occurred in Capricorn season, but that wasn't the new year. That was to create a new blueprint for right now. That Capricorn energy, this is that square point. So on some level, at this point, there's a certain level, like there's a certain string of knowledge, certain collection of things that we've learned up until this point that we can now utilize, that we can now look at and say, okay, I had a blueprint, right? In Capricorn season, I started building on stuff. I started associating myself through Aquarius season. And then in Pisces season, I started to, flush out what I didn't need and start to remap my subconscious. Now I'm ready to dive into this newness. Now I'm ready to fully let go of whatever was holding me back before. And this is my chance. This is my chance to try something new and perhaps go further than I thought I could, further than I did last year. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all a cycle and we got to keep on pushing the envelope forward. So at this point, so let's get back to the sky. So we talked about Mars and Gemini. We talked about Venus and Taurus. We talked about Sun, Jupiter. Okay, Juno, for instance. Juno is in Taurus along with Venus and the North Node. So Juno is all about longevity. So energetically, there's longevity in these new values that we're putting together for ourselves, right? So again, with Venus there, right, and Venus and Juno, these are energies that can kind of go hand in hand, because Juno is also looked at as like the energy of like marriage, because on an energy level, it's like what we can see ourselves doing long term. It's the energy that we can tap into long term. So even Juno in your chart signifies where, okay, say you got Juno in Sagittarius. Oh, I can see myself on some Sagittarius shit long term, whether that's learning, experiencing life, or just finding ways that you can travel, finding ways that you can expand yourself, different things like that. These are the people who go to school when they're 80 and it's like they're retired. They're like, hey, I just want to go to school. I just like to learn. Juno and air, forms of communication. Say it's an Aquarius. You see yourself like, man, I could talk to myself, or like I could see myself involved in communities, or giving back to my community, or just in some way or shape or form involved in associating with a certain group for a long period of time. Or say you got Juno in I did fire, air. Let's say you got Juno and Pisces. I could see myself working on this dream for a long time, or I could see myself it gets scary. I see myself lost in this illusion for a long time. I could see myself marrying this ideal, or this feeling. I could see myself in certain feelings for a long time. And then Juno in what's another one? Earth. Juno in Capricorn. I could see myself working a certain amount of time. And again, not just working for the sake of work, but building something, whether it's a project, a lifelong project you got, or if it's something like I can see myself being the head of, or the controller of resources for a long time. I can see myself being the boss of this establishment, or I can see myself, so on and so forth. So Juno being currently in Taurus right now, Taurus deals with those values. And then Venus being home there, this is some potent energy that we can tap into to say, okay, with this new me, what values do I see longevity in? And this can kind of start to steer you. And these values on some level should be associated with your spiritual path, due to the fact that it's conjuncting the North Node. So there's uncomfortable things that you're going to have to get a grip with. And it starts with you building better self-esteem on those parts of yourself that you are able to piece out and say, hey, okay, I might not be the best at this yet, but this is where I want to go with it. This is where my new path is pointed, and my new direction is all about. So I'm going to double down on it and start to solidify a certain self-esteem around that shit. Not me see myself as the thing that I'm trying to value, but me applying the value energy to what I got going on. And now you really build it. Now it's like you starting to solidify something. And we in the first part of spring. So right now it's about trying new things and making those mistakes. The sun next to Chiron, we are able to be aware of mistakes, but we also need to be willing to go through them, willing to make them. But the way you use that energy is to make your mistake the best type of mistake you can make, aka, again, the right intentions behind it, and it's in alignment with what you actually want to see for yourself. Not you making mistakes based upon acting on shit based on the wrong intentions, or something that ain't gonna be something you want to be associated with later on down the line. By the winter time, you don't want to be associated with that shit by Virgo season, by Libra season. So why get involved now? And this goes for, again, irresponsible relationships, whether it's with yourself, with a person, a place, or a thing. That spring fling, you ain't gonna want to be with that person when it get cold again. So why even waste time? And it's like, hey, to each his own. Again, discernment, it's your life. Do what you do. But people do these kind of things all the time, recklessness. And year 7 is all about being mindful about certain things. Also, Uranus is there. So this is a change in values as well. This is a change. This is where, again, you can use these changes to incite stability in your life by simply understanding what needs to be changed at what time, because it's a power in knowing how to switch things up. So Uranus has been in Taurus. At this point, we already know the drill. So when it comes to having Venus there, it's almost like a breath of fresh air that we like, oh, okay, Venus at least is in a place that I can start to solidify something, right? Uranus, of course, is going to make it quick. It's going to make it switch up. It's going to make it new sparks and all that shit. But here's the thing, that uniqueness, again, as long as it's unique to you, and again, these should be unique values, shouldn't be values based upon what other people are valuing. This needs to be unique to you. And again, it's double amplified or double emphasized due to the fact that we're in Aries season. So it all is about you at this point in time. It's all about yourself. And again, not getting lost or selfish on the negative end, but understanding your own self-intentions and where you want to put a lot of this energy, where you finna direct all this focus. because it has to go. So again, the sun is exalted at this point, so it's like all the power is in your hands. You have to know where you want to direct it in order for you to have that pattern, in order for you to yield the get the proper fruits of your labor, in order for you to know, okay, yeah, that was a good investment for myself, this is a good investment for my energy. Otherwise, you're going to be, again, here, there, everywhere, wasting your energy this way, wasting your energy that way, and it's not going to actually lead to anything constructive. But again, values need to be unique. Your spiritual path is already bringing changes in your life that's etching you out from shit that's just not for you. So you need to come to grips with that, continue to let things go, but start to actually build a self-esteem in you on your path. And whoever is left around you, these are the individuals that you can start to confide in, because these are going to be individuals that showed you a certain level of consistency or loyalty that you can start to look at. And you might not, again, you don't have to take it all the way at face value, but you can acknowledge where, okay, these individuals around me must be part of my spiritual path, or must be part of what I got going on in the direction I'm facing. And everything else that's not facing that shit, even if it's something that you really thought you was supposed to be in your life, you might just have to come to grips with, hey, that might have to get transformed. Saturn is in Pisces now. So when it comes to how we even going about things, our feelings and all these emotions and stuff like that, we need to construct these things. You know what I'm saying? That song I dropped, Moment of Clarity, keep a distance from all these emotions. It's like Saturn and Pisces thing. We have to create distance. This is not about avoiding your feelings, but you have to start to construct yourself, your inner world. Start to create restrictions on what you will allow certain feelings to make you do. For instance, if you know every time you feel sad or you feel unmotivated, or certain feelings come around, certain feelings that keep you stagnant, that reflect old ways of being, old comfort zones, feelings of uncomfortability that leave you procrastinating, you need to start to create certain restrictions and boundaries on what you will allow yourself to do when you feel that kind of way. Hey, I don't care if I feel sad, or I don't care if I feel a little uncomfortable. I know this is something I need to do. I'm going to do it regardless. This is the type of construction that we need to make with Saturn and Pisces, because if not, you'll allow all those feelings, Saturn, to restrict you out of stuff, cut you out of situations based upon you not taking the initiative and being the spirit. You know what I'm saying? You allowing those feelings to overtake you and make you the person, make you the second coming, basically. Make you the reaction, basically. So everything you want starts to become a second thought, because you letting your feelings run the show. I don't feel like doing that right now, or I feel a little uncomfortable, so I'm not gonna go for that. See, you put yourself in turmoil, because you might think you're doing the right thing, but the right thing is really what just feels the most comfortable, and that comfortability is what's keeping you held back, right? What you need to be doing is that thing that's making you very uncomfortable, and you need to dive into it and start to, again, put these feelings in their place, create restrictions on these feelings, these imaginations, it's like, don't put boundaries on your imagination, but put boundaries on your doubts, put boundaries on all those imaginations that you think things ain't gonna work out. Put boundaries on all those belief systems that keep you in those spaces of not going for it, because you don't quite know what it's gonna lead to. It's like, this is where you have to kind of take those boundaries and restrictions and start to build new faith, build a new moral system, or build a new faith off of, or build a new belief system off of what you know. Hey, I'm here to do this. You know what I'm saying? God told me I need to do this. God told me I needed to go hard with what it is that I'm doing. And you can know if that's what, I don't even want to go into that, because that's a conversation you got to have on your own time. I can't tell you what it sounds like. I can't tell you what the, but for the most part, when there's something in this lifetime that you are called to do. When there's something that God got you on a path to do. And sometimes, again, you could be delusional very well, but that's a conversation you got to have with God. That's a conversation you need to take and really examine yourself. And again, on your spiritual path, you'll start to understand and know what's for you and what's not. That's what spirituality is all about. understanding what's belonging in your space and what's actually not in your space. And sometimes we need to go out and do these experiences in order for us to learn what we are capable of and what we're not capable of. But allow that shit to be an experience. Don't prejudge what you're capable of, because a lot of times that ends up selling yourself short. The whole time you was capable of way more than what you thought, but you allowed that to shape and form you and scare you into a different direction, steer you into a different direction in which you went your whole life neglecting your power. And now, again, you live a life of regret, or hopefully not regret. You can look at a life as just saying, hey, I got to try again next time. And again, you don't want to put yourself through something you don't need to. But sometimes we need to. Sometimes we need a little extra time to go through this, a little extra time to go through that. It is what it is. And it's never too late for real. You know what I'm saying? But trying to think what else. Yeah. I know I was talking for a long time, just a string of consciousness. But for the most part, that's what's going on. Trying to think. Low key, the food ready. So at this point in time, I think I've said all that needed to be said. Look at what she cooked up though. She smells amazing. But yeah, trying to think of anything else. Mars talking about some asteroids, the sun. Man, I think that's it for the most part. If it's something else, we gonna get to it. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Peeking that head in. But anyway, much love. Y'all have a great new moon. Make sure y'all set them intentions right. And yeah, be easy, be breezy, be wavy. Young Dave out.